Good afternoon. Long time no see, I know. So I'm trying to get this. For one thing, I'm walking and carrying this. Hopefully it's not too shaky for you. I'm at a Lake City cemetery, Lake City, South Carolina. It's actually a fairly new cemetery. And I don't know if you can tell or not. Well, it's hard to tell this way. It's not really a large cemetery. I don't know, 2 or 3 acres maybe. 1,100 people are buried here. So, like I said, I don't know a whole lot about this one, but I do know the oldest stone. So it's an interesting story of that. Well, at least to me, just kind of, my way of looking at things. And the sun's coming from that way. Was that gonna mess you guys up? I think it will, and I'm trying not to make y'all dizzy. So I'm looking for tombstones, particularly a tombstone. And as I walk, we're going to talk a little bit. Lake City, South Carolina is a small town. This plot of land here, I really don't know a lot about. It's a fairly new cemetery. Mid 1890s, I do believe. I'm assuming this was part of a farm. Downtown Lake City, like I said, a small town, is about 4 blocks that way. And this is one of those places that I'm pretty sure that once you left Main Street, 2 blocks over, you're on a farm somewhere. Just by looking, there's no old houses here. Not in this area. Going the other way is a little bit. Not much though. So I'm walking around looking for this tombstone, and I happened across another one that I wasn't looking for. It's not the oldest one here, but it's pretty close. So I'm just go ahead. I don't know anything about this person. I just seen a stone, and I don't even know if you can see it. See if my shadow don't go get in its way. Right there. Basically it says Letitia Adeline Huggins, daughter of L.M. and L. Jones, I think, of Charleston, died March 16th, 1894. Age 31 years old. Back then, almost anything would kill you. Could have been childbirth, could have been just sick. But anyway, I'm steady looking around, looking for that particular stone, and then I'll have something, a little bit of a story for you. So while I'm looking, I come across this of a veteran who I believe must have died in World War I, or as a result, Private Leroy Brown. Bad. You know what? There's a song about years ago said bad, Leroy Brown, baddest man in the whole town. Yeah, anyway. Who was born in 1896 and died in 1919. It says he bravely laid down his life for the cause of his country and left his home in perfect health. He looked so young and brave. We little thought how soon he'd be laid in a soldier's grave. World War II. Private Leroy S. Brown. By the way, that's still not the one I was looking for. Okay, this is not the one I'm looking for, but I do know something about this one. I thought for sure the ones I'm looking for would be close by. It may be, because this is the same family. This was kind of a odd story, I guess you'd say. Let me read it to you first, okay? Cortez, son of Joseph and Laura Jane Miles, from 1897 to 1919. It says, forget him, no. Loved him still, his memory. I'm having a hard time reading, to be honest with you. The sun's shining in my eyes, and it's just hard to make out. The story, let me tell you the story. His name is actually Hernandez Cortez. Now, that's a very odd name given the time he was born in and where he was born. This was backcountry almost, and the time was 1900. There were no Spanish sounding names here. I looked up his parents and none of them were Spanish. They weren't from Spain. I don't know. The interesting thing is his dad was the informant on the death certificate. He died from typhoid fever. Typhoid fever killed him. Like I said, back in the day, anything would kill you. On death certificate, it asks his birth date. It says, don't know. Age about 20. So, and then lists the dad's name. The dad was the informant. Then lists the mom's maiden name. Don't know. Really odd that a man would, that it's his second wife. This was the last child born of the father's second marriage because the first wife died. And I just thought odd that he didn't know his second wife's maiden name. Didn't even know when his child was born. But as you can tell, they got it straightened up because they got the birth dates right there. Anyway, let me still see if I can find the stone. The stone I'm looking for is actually his half-sister and his dad's first wife. That's what I'm looking for. While I'm looking for this grave, a thought comes to me. Now, I've seen the picture of the grave on Find a Grave, of the tombstone I'm looking for. And where he's buried at, this is a plot. See if I can get you to see it. It goes there, there, back to there, and there. There's room enough to bury 4 people here. I'm wondering, surely to goodness nobody just stole the tombstone. Of course, people are kind of crazy. You don't know what to expect. But I'm still looking. I'm still looking. While I'm looking, I found this veteran Eugene D. Richburg. Don't know anything about him. I just know this flag is laying on the ground. It was placed here probably for Memorial Day, which is just a couple days ago. Private U.S. Army, World War I, from 1894 to 1977. Well, I found another one. This flag is just laying loose. Put it back. It broke off. It broke off. I can tell because the sticks broken. This is Rael Van Williams, U.S. Army Reserve, 1939 to 2007. You know, a lot of times when a person gets real old and they've been married for years and years and years, when one spouse dies, the other one doesn't live too much longer. I have a perfect example of that right here. These 2 stones I just came across. Now, he was a U.S. Marine veteran, and I'm just going to read the stone to you. Hopefully I can get them both in here. I know you can see the stones. I know you can't see the details, though. R.L. Cockfield, Jr., U.S. Marine Corps, World War II, from 1924 to 2020. Died in March of 2020. Now I'm going to move over this way to his wife. If I can get you over here. Right. Dorothy Mapp Cockfield. Says her children arise up and call her blessed. The date on that's 1925 to December of 2020. They both died in 2020. They both lived to be 95 and 96 years old. That's why I'm saying they were a very old couple. And one died about 7 or 8 months after the other. Usually, a lot of times I've seen and noticed they don't live over a year. A lot of times when they've been together for so long and they're that elderly when one passes away. I know I have a great-grandfather of mine. When my great-grandmother died, he died about a year later, and the story I get is that he would just stare at her picture on the dresser. He lost all will to live. His wife of God only knows how many years, I don't remember now, was gone. His partner, and of course this is kind of sad, she was gone now, and everything that his life was about was pretty much gone. And he died about a year later, if I remember correctly. By the way, I'm still not seeing the tombstones I'm looking for. It's a little bit upsetting. I figured I'd find them by now. I figured they'd be back there at the grave of Hernandez Cortez miles. Figured to be right around there, if not in the same spot. Like I said, there's a spot there. Maybe someone ditched the gravestones, but I find that very hard to believe. I think I'm just not seeing what I need to be seeing. Well, now here's one that's pretty vague. There's nothing on the other side other than his last name, Carmen, it looks like. And what it says here is in memory of Sergeant Fred Carmen. Died at Fort Wadsworth, New York. Served in the U.S. Army Medical Corps, 12 years. That's all it says. No date, date of death. I mean, there is absolutely almost no information on this big, expensive stone. That might be something worth me following up later, maybe if I can get more information. Okay, I'm putting an end to the search, but I'm going to tell the story. I'm going to tell the story that I didn't intend it to tell anyway. It's not going to be about the two women that I was looking for. One was the oldest tombstone here, which is from 1894 or 1893, I do believe. The other was her daughter, who was just 2 years later. I thought they were the two oldest stones here. From 1895 until 1900, there was only 5 people buried in this big old plot of land. Now, keep in mind, back then they didn't have lawnmowers and weed eaters and stuff. So I would say that their graves sat there in a field, basically an empty field, for a year. Oh, but there was the stone I showed you that I found that was also old. That actually turns out to be the second oldest stone. So you had one year, one the following year, one the next year. And I would say it's about one each year until 1900, and then it started picking up a little bit. So this was a desolate field. Imagine the family coming and saying, you know, hey to their passed on relatives. No grass being cut. It was just a field. Maybe they tried to take care of the area around the grave. I guess it's like that with, you know, any fairly new, well, even the old ones. You know, if you can't cut the grass, you can't cut the grass. But this one is well taken care of now. One thing I did notice, a lot of veterans. Thankful for that. Also noticed a lot of young women had passed away. A lot of young ladies. The one that I was looking for, that is what I thought was the second, turns out to be the third. She had passed away at around 30, 31, something like that. Couldn't find out why, because it was in the 1890s. This is a small town. You can't find small town news in newspapers, in the archives and stuff, because they tend to gravitate into big towns. The biggest one closest to here would be Florence, South Carolina, and there's not a lot in there about Lake City, especially deaths. So it was real hard to find. Her mom died 2 years later. Couldn't find nothing on her neither at all. Nothing in the newspaper. Definitely no death certificates. They didn't come around to around 1917 or 1918. Then there was the son, the youngest son, who died, Hernando Cortez, which the name just throws me off. I don't get it. It would be common around here now. There's a lot of immigrants that live around here. Good, hard-working immigrants. Matter of fact, I think I know one named Hernandez that comes around quite a bit. Anyway, I'm just going to leave this to this. It's been a long time since I've made a video. Just remember to give us a like, possibly subscribe. Hopefully I'm not sound like I'm just rambling on. Y'all have a good day.